Well, Marvel Spider-Man 2 just came out on the PS5 a couple weeks ago, and unlike most people, I don't really care. Mostly because I don't have a PS5, and I just don't really like Insomniac Spider-Man. The games are fine. I didn't really like Miles Morales that much, it was just kind of the same thing, and it's a bit overrated. I don't know, I feel like we're seeing the same story again with Venom taking over the city, kind of like Web of Shadows. The whole Kraven thing, with the lizard and the black suit, just reminds me a lot of the Spider-Man 3 game. I thought now is a better time than ever for me to actually start reviewing some of those games, because they do hold a special place in my heart. I've been playing Spider-Man games since I was 6 years old. I remember going over to my friend's house and watching him play the Amazing Spider-Man 1 on his Xbox, and those were just really fun memories. Since then, I've started collecting a lot of retro Spider-Man games, mostly on the 360. Even though I did sell them for like $20 back in 2018, I've bought most of them back. Nowadays, they're worth like over $1,000, all of them combined. Did you know that the Amazing Spider-Man games go for like $200 on eBay? That's crazy. I don't even have my hands on them anymore. I really regret doing that. Anyway, let me show you my collection. So starting from Atari all the way to PlayStation 4, here are all the Spider-Man games that I own at the moment. Obviously, I'm missing the TASM games, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and Amazing Spider-Man 2. They're probably the most expensive games to find at the moment. Hopefully they'll go down in price as time goes on. But yeah, here's all the games, mostly 360, and here's the PlayStation games. Okay, so starting off with the first Spider-Man game ever made, simply titled Spider-Man, made in 1982, and made for the Atari 2600, which was the current console at the time of its release back in the 80s. I actually do own an Atari 2600, but it seems to be the wrong version. I can't get it to work either. Believe it or not, the game's actually licensed by a company called the Parker Brothers. How ironic is that? The cartridge itself is actually quite small, it can fit in your pocket. That's how games were back in the day. You can just give them to someone and they can put it in their pocket and then take it home. That's before discs and like digital versions of games came out. Those were simpler times. Here's the Atari controller. Looks kinda goofy, doesn't it? This weird clunky ass joystick that barely moves, and this big red button, the only button on the entire controller. This kinda goes to show how simple games were back then. Okay, so here it is on my MacBook right now. I'm using an emulator to play. I'm gonna be using my Xbox controller to actually move Spider-Man around. So if I start the game, we have the iconic theme for the Atari game playing. And I'm just using the controller to shoot the web. Yeah, so it just shoots you up like this. Use the joystick, which would normally be the Atari joystick, and the single button that was on the controller to shoot the web. You can shoot diagonally too. And yeah, just climbing up the building, saving people from bombs. Oh, there you go, you fall, you save yourself. And here we have the Green Goblin. We actually saw a cameo of this Green Goblin in Across the Spider-Verse. I thought that was a really cool cameo he made. Oh, damn. Yeah. Alright, so that's the first level, basically. So that's basically the whole game. Not really much to it. Anyway, moving on. Okay, here we have Spider-Man, the movie game, made back in 2002, based on Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man 1. This was the early 2000s, the peak of superhero tie-in movie games. And this is a classic, not gonna lie. This was the first Spider-Man game I bought off eBay and not at the store. I remember after school, my mum showed me this game in the car. I remember running home and playing it immediately. This cover is just so iconic. It's the classic Tobey Maguire Spider-Man mask, but with black webbing and blue lenses. That's crazy. I kinda wish he looked like that in the movie. Believe it or not, this game is actually M15+. That's a pretty strange rating, I've never heard of that before. M15+? Normally it's MA. And also, this is a Spider-Man game, so you'd expect a lot of kids to play it, even if it does have medium animated level violence. Here's the back of the cover, and it's got a nice photo on it. They even have the tagline, "Go Beyond the Movie." Wow, they really thought they were being unique. Here's some screenshots of the game. Here we have Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin at nighttime in the city, which I don't even remember playing that level, so it must have been false advertising. We also have a cutscene from the game, and an exclusive level only for Xbox players where Spider-Man fights Kraven. One of the very rare times where Xbox players get something that PlayStation doesn't for Spider-Man games. Let's take a look at the manual and see if we can find any secrets about this game. Wow, remember how clunky and weird the original Xbox controller looked? Thank God I didn't own that. I always used to play this game on the 360. There's actually a lot of cool Easter eggs for this game. After you complete it, you can play as Harry Osborn, or you could play as the Alex Ross Spider-Man. You could even play as MJ. But that cheat code was later removed after the final cutscene shows a gay kiss with two MJs. Kinda homophobic if you think about it, but still. Alright, so here we have Spider-Man 1, the movie game, on my MacBook right now. I'm using the same emulator. I'm going to be playing the GameCube version of it. I'm using the Xbox controller again, Xbox Series X. Same controls, everything is basically the same. I'll just show you what the game looks like. So here we have Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man in the human spider outfit. Here's the swinging mechanics. It's obviously not that good. The city isn't free roamable. This is only available in the story mode, and story mode's the only thing you can basically do. There is DLC, but that's basically about it. But yeah, I remember that I used to love playing this game when I was like 8 years old. I got it in 2014. I was so excited to come home and play this. I remember showing my brother. Yeah, and obviously the graphics aren't that good, but it's a nostalgic game. I played this, I think the last time I played this was back in 2021 when No Way Home was coming out. I rewatched all the movies, played all the Tobey Maguire games, this one, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. So here's some of the combat. You can shoot the web, you can beat the thugs up. It's pretty simple. Alright, next up is Spider-Man 2, the movie game. This is often regarded as the best Spider-Man game ever made, in terms of swinging, combat, story. Basically everything about this game is perfect. The cover isn't as cool as last time, but I do like the yellowish colour they give it. It really captures the essence of Spider-Man 2. You can even see Alfred Molina's Doc Ock in Spider-Man's lens. That's a cool touch. This game is also rated at M15+, and I know that in different countries the rating systems are different, but it doesn't really matter. It's the same game anyway. The back of the cover shows Alfred Molina's Doc Ock this time, and a new tagline, "Take New York for a spin," referring to the big open world city you can explore. The disc looks pretty cool as well. Doc Ock's silhouette against the red background. That's pretty unique actually. Alright, so here we have Spider-Man 2 movie game on my Mac again, same emulator. Here's a cutscene. The opening cutscene of the game, very nostalgic, very iconic. Oh, yeah, that's a cool freeze frame. So here's the first chapter of it. We have Bruce Campbell doing a narration for the tutorial guy. Changed around here since last time, so it's basically just the same controls, but the city is a lot bigger, and the swinging has improved a lot. You can actually touch the ground now. Last time you couldn't touch the ground. Okay, now moving on to Spider-Man 3, the movie game. This was the first Spider-Man game to be released on the 360, and I gotta say, it's kind of a downgrade from Spider-Man 2. Mostly due to the gameplay. The combat was so much more difficult and the swinging was worse, and they tried to cram in way too many storylines in this game as well. For those who don't know, Spider-Man 3 is my favourite movie ever made, so this game does have a special place in my heart. This is the first Spider-Man game in Australia to be rated M, which is very surprising. The back of the cover just looks awesome. We have the black suit Spider-Man in Times Square at daytime, Spider-Man swinging through New York City at night, the final battle with Venom at the construction site, and black suit Spider-Man fighting Sandman. The new tagline says, "Every hero has a dark side. Unleash it." That's badass. I like the way the manual looks, even though it's just the Spider-Man 3 poster. The back of it actually teases the new Spider-Man game that was going to come out at the time, Spider-Man Friend or Foe, coming in late 2007. Let's talk about that game, shall we? Here it is, Spider-Man Friend or Foe. It's meant to be a family-friendly take on the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie games. In fact, it's one of the only Spider-Man games to have a PG rating. Even though it's considered to be the last in the Raimi timeline, it's actually the first multiplayer Spider-Man game, and it's the main reason I played it with my cousins the most. Even if they didn't like the game, they still wanted to play. I mean, it's multiplayer. It's actually a genius idea to have two players, one as Spider-Man and one as his villains. That's amazing. This game is one of a kind. I don't think we'll ever get something like this again. Even in Marvel Spider-Man 2, where there's two Spider-Man, it's still a single player game, which is really disappointing. The back of the cover shows all the Spider-Man characters, kinda like a Spider-Man Avengers. Pretty cool, right? Here we have Black Cat, Rhino, and Iron Fist. The tagline of this game is, "You won't believe who's on your side." Next up we have my favourite Spider-Man game, Web of Shadows. I actually own 2 copies of this game, just because I like it so much. Not only is this the best Spider-Man game ever made, I think it's one of the greatest Spider-Man stories, period. The characters, Venom, Black Cat, Spider-Man, the voice acting. This game is just everything Marvel Spider-Man 2 wanted to be. I remember the first time my brother showed me the cover of the game, I thought it was so cool. It wouldn't be until years later I actually started playing the game and fell in love with it. This game came out at the peak of Venom's popularity after Spider-Man 3, and it's the perfect Venom story. The symbiotes taking over the city, an all-out symbiote war with S.H.I.E.L.D., Spider-Man, Wolverine, Moon Knight, Black Cat, and Black Widow. This game just feels like an awesome event. I think my favourite part of playing it was the choose your own adventure type of story it was. You had multiple choices you could make at different parts of the story. Light side, dark side type shit. The fact that you can change what suit you want to wear in between cutscenes was just so amazing, and honestly, I don't think we'll ever get another game like this. I really miss it. It's kinda sad that it's over, but at least we can remember it for what it was. An amazing Spider-Man story. Up next we have one of the most overrated Spider-Man games, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. And honestly, I've never really been a big fan of this game, even if it is one of the first Spider-Verse stories, introducing Miguel O'Hara, Noir Spider-Man, and Ultimate Spider-Man. This was the first Spider-Man game I played on the Wii, and those controls were very difficult as a kid, and even to this day on the Xbox 360 I still struggle playing it. I think that's the main reason why I never really liked it, whether that be the level design or the fact that you can't even free roam. I did enjoy the story though, it's a very unique take on the Spider-Verse story. Being able to play as 4 Spider-Man in a video game was an amazing idea, and having Madam Web as a side character was cool too, since I did like seeing her in the 90s show. If I had to pick my favourite Spider-Man to play as, I'd probably choose Ultimate, mostly because Josh Keaton provides the voice for him, and he had the funnest levels too, especially the Deadpool one. But depending on which Spider-Man you choose to play as, it's always going to be a different level. 2099, you're normally just flying around the city like Iron Man. If you're playing as Ultimate, you have the symbiote powers, which are really cool. If you're playing as the Amazing Spider-Man, you'll basically just have the web-based abilities. And when playing as Noir Spider-Man, you have these really cool stealth sequences that are very memorable. It's a unique Spider-Man game. I do like the story, but when it comes to gameplay, I'm just not a fan. Either way, it's not that bad. Coming up next, we have Spider-Man Edge of Time. This is a direct sequel to Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, and it continues the story in an interesting way. This time we only play as 2 Spider-Men, Miguel and Peter. Josh Keaton returns to do the voice again, which I love. The plot of the game has improved a lot as well. It's a time travel story. If you play as Josh Keaton Spider-Man, you're in the past. And if you play as 2099 Spider-Man, you're in the future. Whatever happens in the past affects the future, so you gotta be careful with how you play. That's basically all I remember about this game. I don't remember much. Maybe I'll have to revisit it sometime. This is actually the Spider-Man game I hate the most. Even though it is technically better, it's just so damn difficult. I mean, I've spent hours in this game, and I've never been able to complete it start to finish. I remember when my friend came over to play this game once, he nearly snapped the disc in half because he just got that mad at the game. This is definitely the most difficult Spider-Man game to play, and also the most forgettable. If you want to play the Spider-Man game, I wouldn't recommend buying it. It's just not worth the money. Just watch some cutscenes on YouTube and you'll understand the story. The last 2 games in my collection are Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man Miles Morales. They're basically just the same game, one's just a reskin. I don't even like Miles Morales' game. It just felt too much like a meaningless side story. And I don't even really like Miles' character that much in the Insomniac universe, even though I did like him in Spider-Verse. But anyway, let's talk about Spider-Man PS4. What is there to say that hasn't already been said? Well, nothing really. As we all know, it's got great swinging, great combat, great story, awesome graphics, and Yuri Lowenfeld's performance was good too. He's not my favourite Spider-Man, I do prefer Josh Keaton, but even he appears in this game as Electro. I can't believe they killed him off in the new game, that was so stupid. I will say it's kinda weird how they remastered this game only 2 years later. That was so quick, and it wasn't even that necessary either, it was just for the PS5. They mostly just did it to change the face, which I do think is an upgrade. I can't wait to replay this game on the PS5, it's gonna be really cool. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching me talk about my retro Spider-Man game collection. Hopefully in the future when I get the Amazing Spider-Man games I can do an update video, but until then, thank you so much for watching, goodbye.